Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today's pick a card's very spiritual. Every once in a while I do one that is much more spiritual than kind of like practical or day-to-day life. Though there could be themes that come up that connect to that. I won't rule that out if that's important because we do live in the material world and that can be important. But what I'm really trying to do at the moment is access your spiritual side, your spiritual gifts, your spiritual connections, your spirit team, whatever the moon and Neptune bring to the table, because it's in honor of this beautiful deck by Trish James Oracles, which is called the Neptune Moon deck. And it's a deck, if you see on her channel talking about the creation of it, where she channeled very high level energies and entities to get the images and the concepts and so forth. And to me, what I felt I wanted to do was take the title of it, the Neptune Moon Oracle, and then say, okay, what does the moon and what does Neptune want to say to you spiritually? And so this could connect to energies that are in your astrology chart. It could be how you're dealing with the spiritual gifts at the moment. It could be important messages that are meant to come through at the moment to you. And to differentiate, we are going to look at the overarching energy, which is shown by the choice here. Some cards from the beautiful Oracle deck. But there are also two other cards, I don't know what they are yet, from that deck underneath that. One will be representing the moon and one will represent Neptune. And for the purposes of this, there are many things that the moon and Neptune mean astrologically and in other ways, but for the purposes of this reading, the moon will be, to me, the spiritual energies, messages and so forth from your own subconscious, your own emotional connection with others, and largely around the things that are in the external world to you at the moment. And so it's kind of your connection with others and the external world through your psychic lens and your psychic emotional radar. Whereas Neptune to me is almost the extra dimensional. So what is not yet manifest? What could you manifest? What is going on in other dimensions, other timelines, all of that kind of thing that has a message for you as well. Because when I do astrology-based readings in my private reading practice, I do at one point pair up the moon and Neptune, and I look at it as different sides like that of psychic ability and spiritual ability. So that's what we're going to be doing, and looking at what are the messages and the energies, and then what gifts do you use, and other astrological energies help you with those gifts, and how will you know that they're being triggered or accessed or engaged in one way or the other. So I hope that sounds intriguing and interesting. To help with the choices, I say I asked Spirit in the beautiful Neptune Moon Oracle deck to give me a kind of combined energy around what almost sets the theme for what Moon and Neptune want to talk to you about to help you with the choice. So for pile number 1, we have all that sparkles, valuable metals and minerals. For pile number 2, we have forbidden fruit, access restricted. And for pile number 3, we have ethereal echoes, past lives and timelines. So there could be something in the concepts there, the imagery, whatever, or you might always go to pile 3. Do whatever works for you and go to more than one if you want, because there could be a number of different messages from the moon and Neptune for you. But when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I've got the timestamps in the description box below and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So you came to all that sparkles, valuable metals and minerals. The first thing I would say about that is that this is a group that is strongly connected to things like crystals, and almost alchemical sort of properties that one would use in the alchemy process, because a lot of that was sort of very material and then turned into the sort of spiritual gold and so forth. So there is definitely something here with both your moon energy and also your Neptune energy that you could probably channel or connect to through the use of crystals and other material substances. So that's one part of the message for you. The second part, however, is interesting because I feel all that sparkles is a little bit of a warning for you as well about, all that glitters is not gold, as they say. It's like all that sparkles is not necessarily what it appears. So it's, I think, with the valuable metals and minerals, part of this message between the moon and Neptune, what they want to help you do is work out what is of value. I think there's a what is of value question around all of this, and using your spiritual gifts to look at that. So we'll bear that in mind when we're looking at what tarot is telling us from each of the planets. So we have the moon here and we have Neptune. Moon, guiding star, inspiration is your compass. Firstly, this tells me that your own subconscious, your own connective in a way to the collective unconscious, so that's a little bit more Neptunian, but nevertheless, that kind of sense of your own inspiration, your own guiding star, your own navigation is pretty much on point and will help you work out what is valuable. And using that, using what inspires you, what emotionally inspires you, what connects you with others, what brings up stuff from the subconscious to be seen and cleared and made powerful, all of those things from the moon is a way to work out value. And if you try and be in a space, I think, that says, because the moon is very emotional, and it's very easy to fall into a trap of not listening to your true inspiration and using it as a compass, but getting overwhelmed by it and then valuing everything and emotionally being attached to everything. I think if you could almost imagine using your moon energy, your subconscious energy and your connection and empathy with others to work out, if I was going to go on a long journey and I needed to navigate the way to get to the best outcome, what is of value of all of this that I would carry and what is not of enough value to carry? I think that's a very big message for you here. And so, and am I happy that I will carry more to start with, because a lot of it's going to be food and water and sustenance, and that will take me on the journey, but that means I take less of other things and I'm seeking something as opposed to just trying to stay where I am and consolidating. There's a sense of movement here, I think, and having to work out what's important and valuable and using the inspiration of what is your path, emotionally, spiritually, as the guide for it. Then when we look at Neptune, whispered realm, subtle transmission, there is certainly some guidance coming from the other side to you. This could be mediumistic through ancestors and so forth, or it could be just very strong sort of imagery coming up in dreams, astral travel. I would definitely say that while your primary energy to make this decision and know what to kind of use and take forward has got to come from you, and it has got to come from your emotional center, your heart, there is some guidance there. So looking at the messages, what to look out for, the synchronicities, and we're going to finish this reading with synchronicities actually. So I take a lot of attention from that. I think that's what the Neptunian realm is doing. I think it's also saying that if there was a stronger voice between the two, it's the moon. Your moon is a very strong voice for you. You connect a lot with the cycles of the moon and so forth. Neptune is far more subtle, but it still is there. So it's like it's like tuning fork, like turn up the volume sometimes, doing something deliberate like a meditative practice or shamanic journeying or something like that, something that takes you there, because there is stuff there, but it's the words you hear just before you fall asleep. It's the imagery in a dream that's hard to hold on to after you wake up. It's much more subtle, but it is going to help you as well. So let's get the tarot and let's ask specifically, what does the moon want to say to you, and what does Neptune want to say to you? So your inner subconscious, your knowing, your heart, your empathy, all of those sort of things that we'd associate with the moon. What else does it want to say to you beyond that? It's your inspiring compass, so to speak. Four of Swords, Six of Wands, Two of Swords, Knight of Pentacles, Tower reversed, Ace of Wands. Okay, inspiration is very important. It's saying yes, like I am the inspiration. It's also saying that you may not naturally think this, to be honest. I think that one of the things here, that there's an interesting tension operating here with all its sparkles, with Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands is inspiration, creative inspiration, all of that kind of thing. But it's fiery. And you may not associate yourself either with creativity or having inspiration with the moon, because it feels like it should be fiery, it should be creative, it should be the sun rather than the moon, let's put it that way. But in actual fact, this is where these two are working very strongly together. With the Tower reversed, there is a subtle energy. So it is saying you need both, but it's also saying there's a subtle energy even within that, because you are maybe underestimating your own inspiration. So it's almost as though in the dream state, a lot will come through, and the moon can connect to that. But you're not connecting the two. Like, it's asking you to connect the two, because here we've got the Six of Wands, we've got victory, all that sparkles, all that's fiery, all that flames, all that glitters. That can get there. but it's like you don't feel you have the information to get there. So it's almost like you've withdrawn from thinking you could have that. And yet it's saying you can. You've got to kind of use your inspiration in a way that you feel comfortable with it. And you've got to experiment a bit. Knight of Pentacles reverse suggests to me that, again, not everything that you have materially or every aim that you have material will turn out to be the right aim for you and will get you the victory that you want, or will even be something that inspires you and leads you. But you've almost got to explore. That's why we have the navigation energy. The moon wants you to go within yourself to explore what it would mean to have all that sparkles, to win. There's information you don't have, and it's only in trying things out that you can do it. That's why inspiration here is not just an aha moment of I've suddenly worked out what the great American novel is and I can write it and then I'm going to be rich. It's not like that. It's a step-by-step process, and it's a step-by-step exploration. It's asking you to do that because I think it feels like you've almost written yourself off from having the glittering prizes and all that kind of thing. Or you haven't worked out what it really would mean to you to do that and what is true to you, what's your true voice. Okay, so what does Neptune then want to say? The sun. Well, that's interesting. The sun and the moon. Nine of Wands. King of Swords reversed. Nine of Pentacles. The Fool reversed. Now, that's interesting. I actually wonder whether this might be a little bit of a hint for some of you, and only do it if it feels right. But if you were thinking, oh, should I also go to pile 3? This might be a hint. This one might be a hint, yes. But if you weren't thinking that, don't sort of live into that. But I'm just going to say that if you were sort of thinking, oh, I can't really choose between the two. Part of that is because there is something Neptunian, something in the Neptunian realm that connects to past lives or timelines that's important for you to know. And that's true in general, but like it's only go to the I think it was pile 3 if you feel that connection. So in the Neptunian realm, so if you've gone within to find your compass and to work out what is your true inspiration and how do you work that out? How do you work out what that means for that to be valuable to you? Neptune allows you to find your life path again, because it looks to me like it's saying that it could be that you felt that manifesting certain things materially is what it is to be spiritual, and you're hitting brick walls because you're not actually creating something that is true to yourself. You're just trying to replicate something. There could be something about exploring your values. Once you've done that, this allows you to get back on your life path. Neptune is saying you're closer to crossing the finish line to success than you think. But right now, you're kind of overthinking it. And like, I am the last person to say to people, shut off your mind, because I live in my mind a lot. And I don't think that the mind is anti-spiritual at all. But having said that, I think in this case, there is a kind of you need to really work out what is of value to you. There is something here, pile 1, where that's the thing that's the block. You're almost kidding yourself on what's of value to you. And as a result of it, you never kind of commit to anything. You're not committing on a material level because it's sort of like that you haven't really worked out what you would commit to. What this is saying is that if you go back and think about where you have been able to gradually get something that you wanted, that, and you replicate that with the Fool reverse, you will find the success. But you've got to kind of slow down again and explore it. It's like it's almost as though in the Neptunian realm you could see the pathway in very symbolic ways, and then therefore have a sense of what you have to navigate to be able to work out what is the gradual way you get what you want to get to the true thing that is of value. But it's like Moon wants you to experiment, and Neptune wants you to kind of go, really, like what do I really value? What would it mean to cross that line? It almost feels to me like the sort of subtle message here is you're kind of on the right long-term pathway, but you've gone off on a few tributaries that are not going to take you where you need to go. So you need to kind of almost go back to the beginning and work out what was it that I really valued. So this is really about you assessing your true life path and your true heart, because it's all there in the Neptunian realm to do. You've done it before. You can do it again. Don't have to rush or worry about it. But at the moment, you've not really worked out what's of value. And that's what this whole energy and this whole message is about for you. So what kind of gifts can either give you and approaches to help you do that? Because that's what this is about, getting your emotional navigation right, picking up the subtle energy and knowing what really matters and achieving what really matters. So around the emotional energy, around the moon energy, and we'll get you a couple of spiritual gifts that you could focus on. Firstly, clairgustance. You're being called to tune into the tastes and sensations from the spirit realm. Okay, so there is something very material. This is partly why we've got the material exploration here, as being what it's not just all that glitters, it's also like what tastes good, what tastes right. You know, use that skill. You've got that ability. It connects emotion. It's a very emotional thing, an emotional reaction instantly to something that does or does not taste right. And we have spiritual retreat host. You're being called to explore hosting spiritual events. Well, that could be sort of something that you could do with this eventually, but maybe it is actually going to a spiritual retreat yourself to start with. What about Neptune? Sound and song healing. You're being called to explore sound and musical healing to move energy. So that's subtle. Maybe listen to music, listen to lyrics, pay attention to the music that you're hearing. What energetically does that do? What is familiar? What is slow and beautiful enough to actually make you feel you could actually grow and build something with it? And holistic skincare specialist. You're being called to explore healing of the mind, body, and soul through skin treatment. So yeah, again, these are kind of like, they're subtle, enjoyable things. So that's interesting. That's an interesting hint here. It's like the moon is asking you to see what doesn't fit and to retreat within to work that out. Neptune works more subtly with you and brings you things that are appealing. So it's sort of like to balance it off. What is truly appealing and more subtle, as opposed to what might be glittery and sparkly, but is ultimately doesn't feel good and you would retreat from. So there is definitely an energy between them. They're working really well together. They want you to work out what is of true value. So using the Magic and Mediums deck, we'll just get one between them and one that joins them. So moon energy, higher self. Yeah, that's where you're connecting with your higher self and you. This is like to directly get your higher self is trying to get you to recalibrate what matters to you. And then with Neptune, banish. Okay, so this is like what things that do not feel good, sound good, make you kind of like feel more yourself. It's like, what do you need to banish? Like it helps you banish it actually. I think they're working in tandem. I think if your higher self picks up that which is discordant with your emotional nature and your heart and what doesn't taste good, then in the Neptunian energy, it's almost like you can go into the Neptunian realm, send that away and bring in what is good. So when you bring them together to really get what sparkles, what is truly valuable. Moon magic, yeah, it goes back to the moon. There's a kind of a circle round. So I think this is telling you that the moon wants to be your navigation, but the first thing you're going to have to do, because there's something where you've not really understood what was truly valuable to you. You go through and you kind of work out what does and doesn't taste right. When you retreat within yourself and commune with your higher self, what is right. Your higher self can then take you into the other realms for the more subtle energy where you banish that which is not right, you draw in what is healthy and good, and that returns back the moon magic so that you're back on course. That's what this is talking about. So this is a kind of a reorientation energy. That's what's going on for you at the moment. It's like you've just got slightly off course on what would really be valuable to you. And this is to bring you back on course. Okay, let's see other astrological energies that support the moon and Neptune. So what else is supporting the moon? Jupiter and Saturn. Yeah, it's like what is good and what is restrictive. What can you commit to and what can you expand with? What shouldn't you do? And there is an internal tug of war going on there. This is like between what is truly growthful and what is kind of like material and maybe a little bit stuck in the past. There is something about dislodging energy. And that's the other thing. I think if you have crystals around you that help you dislodge blocked energy, that would be really helpful. And what other astrology energy helps the Neptunian side of things? Saturn and Pluto, yeah, that's where you banish that. There's a Saturnian energy. Okay, so Saturn at its best can be wonderful. It's structure and order and discipline and like Capricornian success and all those sort of things. But it can also calcify you. And if you think about it, like certain gems can have calcified energy. This is almost like how you how you polish the gem to find the true gem within. So you first of all work out what is of value and what isn't of value. Then you go into the Neptunian energy, and Neptunian energy uses Pluto to banish that which is not working so that then you can go back and use your moon magic. So this is kind of almost a fairly sophisticated map for manifestation, I think, but it's also to make sure you manifest that which is truly of the best for you. Okay, so last but not least, we're just going to get you a sign, synchronicity, dream symbol, whatever it might be, using the Lucid Dreams deck. So choose a number between 1 and 3, and that will be your, pause if you have to, that will be your sign or synchronicity. It could show up as visuals that you see. It could be song lyrics you hear. It could be something that turns up in a dream. It could be something that somebody says to you randomly. That it's meant as a sign. It may give you a little bit more information about what you need to consider in this process, but by and large, it's really meant to be a sign. So for number 1, we have cave. For number 2, we have legumes. And for number 3, we have desert. Okay. So if you chose number 1, then anything that makes you feel that you're going into a cave, into the hidden depths, into the sort of moon energy, is a real sign of this. If you sort of see, a video come up on YouTube about somebody caving, that would be, something, going into the caves and doing that kind of thing. Spelunking, I think they call it. Also, anything that kind of brings to mind womb, creation, growth, the subconscious itself, how you protect yourself, how you feel safe, what the potential might be. Any of those sort of energies, visuals or whatever tells you about, I think, what is truly valuable that you're protecting and growing through this process. If you chose number 2, that Claire Gustins thing is really important. Like things to do with healthy food, healthy diet, seeing food stuffs that look very healthy, plant-based, nature-based. What is your natural diet? All that kind of thing. What are the potentials or the seeds of things? And they'll bring in potential prosperity, marriage, luck, manifesting. It's the food of life. Anything that around that kind of thing synchronistically comes in is a sign you're on the right path. Interestingly, if you chose number 3, desert, retreat, growth, trials, temptation, transformation, I feel like the desert is particularly connecting to when you're in the Neptunian realm. I feel like it's almost like the moon realm is kind of particularly governed by the cave, and I feel the desert is more the expanse of what you could create. So I think this is anything to do with deserts, the concept of expanding sort of areas of, like where you would do growth and how you would protect that growth, anything like that, any sort of like signs, symbols or whatever. You could hear that song about being in the desert with the horse that doesn't have a name, all that kind of thing. I'm trying to say things so I don't trigger copyright sort of things, but that kind of energy, something like that would tell you that you were at that stage, I think. This could be telling you either at the beginning or that you've come back and you can now grow what you want. This is probably telling you that you're in the process of working out what is healthy and what is of true value. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope it was helpful. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the intriguing forbidden fruit, access restricted. So this tells me that there's something here about where is the right place to explore and where isn't the right place to explore spiritually, and what are you meant to have access to and what aren't you meant to have access to. Whether it's sort of knowledge, spiritual growth, understanding of others, whatever it might be. And it's very interesting because I feel like it's saying right now that the moon wants to tell you that the moon energy, which to me is the spiritual connection with others empathically, spiritual energies within this world, like how it plays out in your emotions and your relationships and all that kind of thing, and your own subconscious, that's not where you're meant to go right now. That's not where you're meant to be focusing. It doesn't mean you couldn't at another time, but this is saying different dimension, not here. It's pointing directly over to Neptune, which is the planet to me of other dimensions and so forth. So I think it's saying that right now, it may even be that there is something within your past or your spiritual nature that you're not allowed to get yet, because you're meant to actually explore something else before you can have access to that. So it'd be like some type of knowledge perhaps that you had in a past life, but you can't have access to it yet, even though it's within you, because you have to almost go back and re-experience something to do it. And it's also because there's something within the Neptunian energy that is more nurturing and caring. It may be for some of you that you have a challenged moon in your chart, like it may have some difficult aspects, and it may be that you need to build up a caring energy of easier aspects with Neptune first to be able to really get to the core of something. For some of you, I'm getting there could be trauma. There could be very deep trauma that you're not meant to access yet. You're meant to get the caring healing before you can. Now, that's only going to be some. So if you're sort of don't suddenly think, oh my God, I must have some awful thing that's happened that I don't remember. It could be something in a past life too. It doesn't have to be something that happened to you in this life. But if that's the case, you will get the support before you're allowed to see it. So there's a kind of a very powerful guide around to make sure that that occurs and to look after you. But I think by and large, there is something more about other dimensions and that kind of thing, more than the spiritual, your own spiritual subconscious and your spiritual connection with others at the moment. It may also be that for some of you, there could be that you have been dealing with a difficult relationship and you really want to kind of use empathy and telepathy and all that sort of things to really understand what's going on with the other person. But for some reason, that's not meant to happen right now. It will be restricted. And there's some healing, so maybe once you've had the healing, you understand things on a broader framework, you can see that, or it may be it's not for you and it's not your person. It just depends on what this is talking about. So let's see a little bit more. Let's ask the moon specifically, because the moon is saying not here. Why not here? Why is the moon pushing you away from the moon's spiritual energy at the moment and pushing you towards Neptune? And as I say, it is just for the moment, but knowing that something is being restricted, why is that? Page of Wands reversed, Four of Wands, Three of Swords reversed, Three of Cups, the Devil reversed, Five of Swords reversed. I do think that for a lot of you, this has something to do with a relationship. And at this time, you're not supposed to know everything about it. You're meant to go and seek what you should be looking for in a relationship before you can make a decision. Doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship can't happen, but it may be that you can't know that much about the other person in the situation yet. You have to know more about almost the environment of what would be a caring or good relationship. It doesn't have to be a love relationship. It's likely to be, but it could be a friendship or something like that. There's something about someone else. I think that's why the moon is saying not here. Saying at the moment, you're going to be blocked from kind of telepathy or empathy or truly understanding something. And it's got to do with making sure that whether you have that relationship or another relationship, that it ends up being the one that you can celebrate and be happy in. It could literally be that you're being blocked from someone. And it's trying to do it so it's not so painful to not pursue it because it's not the right person, or it could be it's not the right time. But this feels like you may be drawn to the person because you may think there's some karma or something like that. There's like you free some karma and so forth. But it's like this is meant to keep you free to get the right thing. And it's saying don't give up on love or feeling that you can have something. It's not that love's forbidden, but I do feel like there's something. Whatever this relationship is, whoever this person is, this is not the person for you, I have to say. Not right now, anyway. Maybe if you go and get some healing and see the broader thing, maybe, but I think it's much more likely that if you spend more in kind of manifesting, you're going to draw in the right person. There's something here that's going no, saying no, it's going to hurt you. You need to be free of that so that you can find that which would make you happy and that which is worth committing to. So this, I think, is about a relationship. I think if that doesn't resonate, you're probably at the wrong reading. Try one of the others, to be honest, because I do think it's about that. So if we go not here, not now, this is not the right one. Why is it saying what does Neptune want to do to give you that kind of caring support? Because it's probably hard. You're probably attracted to this person. So what is Neptune wanting to say to you? Nine of Wands Nine of Wands upright, not reversed. Seven of Wands. Page of Swords. Two of Pentacles reversed. Judgment. Eight of Swords. Okay. I think that Neptune is saying the reason you're drawn to this person is probably karma between the two of you from past lives. Or maybe, it's somebody who you've been involved with and they're potentially around again. And so there's something from the past. It feels kind of karmic. But you're actually meant to be freed from that. That's why it's being blocked. It's being blocked because it feels intense because there's this karma, but you're actually being blocked from that because it's saying whatever happened, you didn't have a choice about. So the communication is coming to try and say that karma is being cleared for you. That's what the caring will be. You go into the Neptunian realm, you astral travel, you meditate, you do shamanic journey, whatever it does to take you into that, you can understand it on a bigger picture and you can see that you've been cleared. That has been cleared. You're already free of that, but you feel like you're still there. It's saying that it just takes the courage to walk across the line and hear the message and move on. But it will take courage to do, because in an odd way, the familiarity of this person, because of past life stuff, and the promise that you almost feel should be there because of that, it's not for you this time. And it's probably not for you because it didn't turn out that way. It wasn't good last time. It was you got trapped in it in a way. So you're being freed. This is all about freeing you. This is not about telling you you can't have love or whatever. It's saying this one is not the right one. So that's pretty strong, full-on message. So let's see what gifts they can give spiritually and otherwise to help you with that. So what can the moon sort of bring up spiritual gifts as a focus so that you can not feel the pain of that? Because that's a painful thing potentially, pile 2. Clairsentience, you're being called to explore and tune into your feelings, theirs or spirits. So I think this is saying like I actually think it's not letting you connect into theirs, it's asking you to connect into yours, and the way that you will do it best in actual fact, once you've got the feeling, is to take that feeling into the Neptunian realm. I don't think you're being asked to go into theirs because that's not good for you at this point. But you naturally have that ability, but it's how you use it. Manifestation coach, you're being called to explore, sharing your knowledge. Okay, so what you can do to manifest and so forth, starting to think about what you can do and what you want to do rather than this relationship, and manifesting, because again, with the healing energy, you can manifest the right connection. And again, you've kind of like, this is telling me that like you've already achieved the freedom. So you've already manifested that. It's realizing the key to unlock the door is there. What about Neptune? Automatic writing. Okay, so if you're not sort of someone who sort of meditates or does shamanic journeying or whatever, another way of doing is automatic writing, connecting into that. It's connecting into the other realms to show the possibilities and let the messages to come through. And psychic surgery. Okay, I don't think that's literally that you're being called to do surgery on anybody psychically, but I think it is to go within yourself, like to go, it could be something that you could envisage in a meditation, like cutting out that which is not healthy for you, letting that go, freeing. In fact, cord cutting, I'm getting very strongly, could be part of what could help you there. So let's get something from Magic and Mediums. Let's see how to kind of, for each of them, and then bring it together, how that all comes together so that you can use that spiritual energy in these messages. Because these are both, to me, that's cord cutting and that's freedom. This is going within to understand yourself. This is going into the numinous to understand what's possible and what you can ultimately manifest. So around the moon again, where there's some limitations being put on your natural abilities. Damon, okay, yeah, this is probably in fact your higher self and your kind of like true twin soul, all that kind of thing protecting you. But this is also like sometimes it's when we feel drawn into something that we shouldn't be drawn into. Where it's not appropriate. So I just think you're being protected. What about Neptune? Respect. Okay, yeah, respect yourself, respect. Yeah, it could be that this person is with someone else and this would cause a lot of like breakups and heartache and so forth. Could be that you would be leaving a relationship and leaving a commitment, or there's something here about respecting cultures and what is possible and different realms and different possibilities. Bringing it together. Knowledge. Okay. Knowledge is what, like, and this is gnosis. And forbidden fruit can sometimes be about knowledge. There is some knowledge that you are allowed to have, and it is respectful and right and will lead you where you need to go. There is some knowledge you are being blocked from because it's not respectful to you, it's not respectful to others, it's not yours. But it's a relationship. It's not about your spiritual gifts. You have the spiritual gifts. It's how you use them responsibly, I think. Okay, let's see what other astrological pairings are working with the moon and Neptune. So with the moon around this, Saturn and Chiron. Yeah, it's blocking you, and Saturn is a block because the healing has to occur elsewhere. And in many ways, in terms of the karmic stuff, it's already done. It's like this relationship, you've got a lot of history, karmic history with this person, but like really it's healed, and it's almost like you keep pulling the scab off. Like it's like, no, we're blocking that, because the healing can be done in you now looking for something else and finding what is for you rather than trying to always fix this situation. And so then what works with Neptune? Neptune again, Neptune's very strong. You've got a very strong connection with Neptune and Venus. That's where you find love. The real love, the real connection and the real caring all comes in the Neptunian realm at the moment, because the moon you're trying to connect too much to the other person. It's also possible they're connecting to you in a way that you have to be freed from. May not actually be you that's doing it. They might be clinging to you, and that's not appropriate, and you're being protected and you're the forbidden fruit. But either way, Neptune is where you can start to get the ideal love and find what it really should be. Okay. So lastly, we're just going to get you something that could be a synchronicity. So something you might see in a dream or a meditation, something you might see on a T-shirt when you're walking past somebody, something you might hear a song lyric about that tells you that I think you're in this realm and working out what you really want. I think that's what is the goal of this, really, to get you back on course to where it's healthy and good for you to go. So please choose a number between 1 and 3, because depending upon which number you choose, that will be your synchronicity. So for number 1, we have fish. For number 2, we have glacier. Oh, that's interesting. And for number 3, we have porcupine. Okay. So if you chose number 1, you're probably, of anybody who's come to this, the closest to feeling comfortable already in Neptune and exploring it. So it really is just another kind of hop, skip and jump to get to the true love, potential, creativity, prosperity, all that kind of thing. And when you see fish, many coloured fish, that kind of sense of moving forward, that you are in that realm and you're going towards that potential. If you chose number 2, you may still be feeling quite stuck, to be honest. And a glacier energy here, cold, aloof, ungrounded, blocked emotions. You may be thinking, like, I'm feeling blocked. Why is that? And you are, because the moon is blocking it to protect you. You see that as a protective edifice, not as something that is too cold. If someone else is cold, it's because, as I say, it's not the right person. So look for the glacier sort of energy as telling you about an either protective thing for you or something that is showing you this is not the way. This is not the person. And if you chose number 3, porcupine, prickly, defensive, triggered, sensitive, you may be feeling, if you're even hearing this, you're feeling that way, triggered and sensitive about it, you're already more than halfway there. Because what this is really saying to you, it doesn't necessarily mean, if you're saying like, oh, but I love this person, you probably do, and they probably did love you, but like the karma and so forth is let go now. You're meant to find someone else, and you will be happier with someone else. So the more that you feel triggered and prickly around this, the closer you are to clearing that blockage and moving towards what is good for you. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. It's a little bit of a tricky one, but hopefully it is helpful. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you came to ethereal echoes, past lives or timelines. This is very interesting given the cards that are with it. I feel like this is about your own sovereignty or about what you would follow or connect to spiritually or otherwise. And I think it's about what you believe. And I think it's connected to, past lives that you've had or timelines, shifting timelines, things like that. You kind of fight a bit with the moon energy. And I don't mean that as a criticism. You probably fight with your moon energy in a similar way that I do. So I don't, it's not meant as a criticism, but you're very much in your mind. And so the moon, any moon energy, any empathy, any telepathy on that kind of level, any subconscious stuff, it has to filter through your mind. It has to make sense to your mind. But I think it's because you've had lives and you're connected on the numinous level to a lot of things to do with power. So it's always really high stakes. So it's sort of like for you, for this group, spiritually, it's not like you can go, this is just my spiritual journey and I'm going to kind of, get into my subconscious and understand my shadow and deal with all my stuff and dream up and manifest something. There's something about this group that has been drawn into really big, like either spiritual battle, spiritual war, political, social things, all that kind of thing, and how that connects with the spiritual. Because you've got over here with Neptune, sovereign ruler, authority over all. That feels to me like a really powerful energy, both as a really powerful guide that you have because of how you've got to process emotions around you and other people's emotions and moon related sort of spiritual downloads or whatever, in context with things that you remember or or you can see consequentially will happen. But there's a very strong energy here about power. And in the Neptunian realms, you remember, you come back in contact with, and whether it's your own power or some other power that you serve, like it manifests, I think. Its manifestation ability is about things to do with power. So this is pretty profound, I have to say, and is likely to manifest a lot in the world. But it's like you are forced to become strategic and political in a way with what you do. It doesn't mean it has to be literally like going and being in a political party, but there's something like that that's going on with you. And this has come through timelines for you. So let's see what the moon and Neptune want to say to you. The moon says thoughts matter. It is all mental. So, which is a Hermetic tradition, and it's, as I say, one that I would very much align with. But however, the moon is not as comfortable with the mental, but you, for some reason, have to do it. So I feel like for some of you, you could be incredibly good therapists or counselors or psychiatrists or something. Like there's a mental structure that you have to put around that to encapsulate the very powerful issues that you're dealing with. But like whatever it is, anything that's coming through the moon, subconsciously, emotionally, empathy or whatever, has to be processed through the mind. So let's see what the moon wants to say to you. And it's got to do with things in your past lives. Eight of Swords reversed, Four of Cups, the Tower reversed, Ace of Wands, Knight of Wands reversed, the Empress reversed. Okay. The first thing that the moon wants you to do is free your mind from emotional blocks. So it's sort of like your mind is a way to use that, but it's also that the emotional side, it's almost like dial down the emotional side of the moon and let almost let Mercury connect with it in a way. I feel like it's kind of try and turn down the tsunami sort of energy of the Four of Cups and free the mind. It doesn't have to be done all in one fell swoop. It can be done step by step, but it does need to make sense. There is some real energy coming through, and I think it's coming through from Neptune, and like the moon is sensing that coming. It knows it. It recognizes it. And it's like, we need to slow this down a bit and think it through. Because it may be not nurturing and not caring. Like I think this group has dealt with in different lives authoritarian rule, totalitarian rule. Now, that doesn't mean if you've got a strong guide here that that's what that is. It may be a protective guide against that. But there is something like that going on. And it's almost, it feels to me like the Empress is a bit like, the Seven of Pentacles. It's like growth. It feels very like kind of nurturing, and the garden grows or whatever. And when it's reversed, it's not growing. It's almost like too much water kills the garden. Everything dies. Like it needs a certain amount of water to grow, but too much just overwhelms it. So there's something that is almost overwhelming about the emotional subconscious energy, and you are needing to free your mind and have a structure to deal with it. There's a lot of inspiration coming through, but you need to slow it down because there's a lot of impact of this on some level, and you need a strategy. So what does Neptune want to say to you with that authority energy? What is that all about? Ten of Swords. The Moon reversed, yeah. Like disconnect from Moon energy. The Three of Wands, like all the emotional energy. Three of Wands reversed, Six of Pentacles reversed. Yeah, this is all about power and the Emperor or the Empress. For some of you, this is about some sort of matriarchy versus patriarchy. I was thinking a little bit of that with the Empress reversed, but I wasn't really sure. Is it kind of picking it up? But now that we've got the Emperor there, yeah, there is. There's something about the matriarchy or the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the patriarchy. There's something like that that's associated with this. And in the realm of Neptune, you see the patriarchal thing. In the realm of the Moon, you see how the divine feminine is repressed in some way. But it's not asking you to, you're not being asked to bring back the divine feminine, actually. You're being asked to better understand the divine masculine and where that doesn't work in a healthy way. And that's why you have to be really dispassionate about it. You have to disconnect from the emotional stuff. Even in the Moon energy, you have to disconnect from the Moon and make it more mental, because there is a lot of conflict and there's a lot of history, and you've seen this before. It's like you're being asked to go in and work out what true authority is, which would actually be an equal balance of the Emperor and the Empress, and where this has gone off path. So it's a strategy. It's like looking at the chessboard and understanding where did it happen that one started to dominate the other. And you've seen this in past lives, so you're carrying this through from past lives. And some people may feel you're very detached. They may feel, in fact, that you're it doesn't matter what gender you are or identify with, but they may feel that you're very divine, masculine, you're very, in your head, and you're very, all this sort of stuff. But like you are actually the other as well, because we all are those things. But somehow this has got out of balance, and you are equal to the task, but the task is to try and make that more equal again, because something has gone wrong around authority. So this has got the most, like, whether it's spiritual war or political or social, there's something like that going on. And you've done this in other lives, so you are the strategist that can do it. But the risk to you is that you've got to somehow do it without so much disconnecting from your heart that you don't feel that anymore. Because it's the trap. It's the trap that the authoritarian thing could lay. If you become so detached that you become like them, they've won in a different way. So it's very, very, this is a challenging one. It's important. You're here to do important work. And I think you do have a very powerful guide, but equally, it's a lot of energy. And people are really close watching what you're doing for some reason. Okay, so let's see what spiritual gifts on, the Moon and Neptune bring you to help with this. So the Moon, dice divination. So, like you would literally any kind of divinatory thing, but like, using dice and things like that is maybe a good way to kind of like test out mental concepts or whatever. So that's a good tool for you. Whether it's a yes, no sort of coin, or whether it's a dice that has different sort of images, whatever it is, there's things like that where the symbolic stuff or the symbolic language of the Moon can actually go direct to your mind. So that's divination on that sort of level is good. And clairalliance, this is, where you kind of smell things. And so, smelling perfume or whatever. It's actually quite often connected to mediumship. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of the past life stuff connects to, there might be ancestral stuff, bloodline stuff here as well too. But that kind of ability could be helpful as well to give you the cues, for your mind, because your mind has to work out a strategy. It's not just experiencing the emotion. It's having to rise above it and be strategic about it. What about in the realm of Neptune, where the authority issues really, really come up? We have clairvoyance, clear seeing, and being in the numinous, seeing what is really going on. What's the history of things too? Like, what's the movie? It's almost like you could go in and meditate and see the movie of this, see a past life, that kind of thing, which will give you the information you need. And manifestation coach, there's the key to manifest what is better, to manifest something better. So it's like you are meant to achieve something here, and something quite material. Let's get magic and mediums for each of them, and then what kind of energy combines them with the past lives or timelines. So it's like you could switch the movie. Some of you, it's like you literally could switch timelines. Okay, and manifest something different. But you've got to know, you've got to be really clear. It can't be too emotional. You've got to be kind of dispassionate about it. Okay, so what else can we see for the moon? Sacred heart. Yeah, it's got to be about something bigger than just your emotions and you. It's got to connect to the divine. It's got to be very pure. And it's almost like the mental energy, taking it out of the subconscious is what actually helps. What about, and that also says sacred heart, to connect to the divine feminine as well. What about Neptune, where we have all the authority stuff? Forgiveness. Okay, like, so you're going to need to be able to forgive the past to be able to create something better. And what brings it together? Listen. Going within and listening for the messages from Neptune, listening for what your mind is telling you, the strategy that's coming up, listening for the ethereal echoes. What is echoing? What sounds the same? An echo, kind of like it's the same thing over and over and over. Like, what are you seeing that is the same? Let's see what other planetary pairings sort of connect with the moon and Neptune. So with the moon for you at the moment, Jupiter and Pluto. Yeah, you're trying to change something very radical, and it is from a benefic side. That's why it's a challenge, because your heart and your emotional nature is very kind, but a lot has to change, and sometimes you have to be dispassionate to get the best outcome. So sometimes you may have to appear to be detached or cruel or just strategic, when in fact what you're trying to do is bring about the greater good. What about Neptune? Sun and Neptune. So Neptune, again, very, very powerful. This is part of your life path. The things that you see in the Neptunian realm are really what your life path is. You can't escape this, Pile 3. You are connected to it in a very, very profound way. Like, whether or not it plays out in family dynamics, a love relationship, your career, in politics, in power, in money, could be anything with these sort of cards. But this is who you are. And I think you probably had lifetimes where you had a lot of authority. And so understanding both the getting and the keeping of the authority, and then, where we can be corrupted, they say power corrupts. So it's like understanding those things are very, very important. Okay. So to finish off, I just want to get you a synchronicity that could help you know that you're getting somewhere with this and getting to the core of it. So I want you to choose a number between 1 and 3, and I'm just going to deal out 3 cards from a dream imagery deck. So this could be connected to song lyrics, it could be feelings, it could be aspects of this that become very clear and you know that things are moving with that. It could be memories from past lives. It could be, a video that turns up on your YouTube recommendations that is about this, and that it tells you whatever you were thinking about at that time is connected. Just use it however you want, but pause if you need to, because you need to choose a number between 1 and 3. Okay, so number 1, tree. Number 2, frog. And number 3, dog. Okay, so number 1, tree, instantly makes me think of the tree of life, the balance within the Kabbalah of masculine and feminine, Binah and Chokmah, all of that kind of thing, and to sort of like up in that realm, the Ouroboros, our karmic energy. So anything in that sort of space could be assigned to you, but it could also be you see a very beautiful tree that's just blooming. You could see motifs of a tree, like whatever it is. There's something here about what grows and what is connected to your spiritual path and what is kind of ancient and old, because trees live for a very long time. So this is like what transcends one lifetime, I think. If you chose number 2, frog, gender fluid, flexible, adaptable, like fertility, you could be gender fluid. Maybe one of the ways that you are actually manifesting that is being that, and you're doing something in that space to make that accepted and understood in a better way, spiritually or pragmatically, or politically or socially. Otherwise, seeing a frog motif might tell you something that you're getting to that point of transformation. A frog is a tadpole, and then a frog. So there's sort of a transformative energy. Could also be a sign of luck that is helping you bring all this together. If you chose number 3, dog, masculine energy, it's very much picking up this energy, I think, that is in the Neptunian realm for you. Loyalty, assistance, I think it's definitely saying her very strong spirit guide from the Neptunian realms that will help you, but it also requires you to have duty and discipline. So when you feel, aha, I know what I'm meant to do, I know what the strategy is, I know that I have to be a bit dispassionate, I have to see this as my duty, you're going to be on the right path and you're going to know what to be loyal to. So it's pretty big for you guys. I hope that resonates for you. I hope it was helpful. If so, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd be fascinated to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.